Hello, everyone, and welcome to Maisies Music Fest Day 3. So I'm here in the boutique today, but unfortunately, I think the internet isn't as good as it is at home. Lots of people must be on it today. So if I'm a bit croaky, I'm really sorry, it's the internet. But I've spoken to Debbie already and she's fine, so you'll be able to hear her perfectly. So today I'm joined by Debbie Lynne, and she is a fabulous, fabulous violinist. So let's welcome Debbie.
Hi,
Hi,
everybody.
Debbie.
Hi. Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine. Lockdown hair. I'm really, always start with an apology. I've got lockdown hair.
Haven't we all? So thank you for joining us today. Why don't you start by telling everyone all about yourself and your violin?
Okay, well, I'm Debbie Lynne and I'm the owner of Debbie Lynne Music. And basically, I play solo violin for weddings. Having said that, I can also put together a duo, trio, or string quartet for a wedding. I've been playing for a few years with a lot of practice. And I play all sorts of things. My background, I'm Coventry born and bred, and I kind of moved around to places like Birmingham and London and Paris and back to Coventry, which sounds a bit strange, but it's
Wow.
family stuff. But I'm actually now working as a violinist out of Coventry. I've done a few things in between times, but this actual business I've just started myself. I started this year, going out solo to play violin. I've played in lots and lots of weddings in the past, and events and launches of products and all sorts of things. But I've generally done that as a string quartet member with a string quartet that I used to work with in Birmingham. But I was doing a few other things last year, and it came up to Christmas, and I suddenly thought, let's get the violin out and go off and do some more weddings, because I really enjoyed that and I want to do them on my own. So I started the business, and sort of here I am, really. And I'm a bit excited at the moment because I've got my violin with me. No, girl never goes anywhere
Yay.
without a violin. You can't go anywhere without your violin. And I bought this last year. I bought it on an auction, and I
Wow.
didn't look at it before. I actually just bid on it. It was on an auction down south, and I saw it and I kind of fell in love with it. And it's a really nice instrument, but I actually didn't know anything about it. I just bought it, so it's one of those. And the other thing is, at the moment, I'm waiting for another violin to come. That's a one that I've commissioned. That's an electric violin. Because I want to do a bit more of that as well. But it's not as straightforward as just plugging in and off you go. There's lots to learn to put it all together. So the music will
Yeah.
all be there, but the actual playing of the violin and some of the effects I'll have to learn those. So, but because of
Yeah.
lockdown, the people who are making it can't actually, they need to all be together, because one of them does the colors and one of them puts it together and one of them does the electrics, and then it all has to be tested, and they all generally work together, and they can only work one at a time at the moment because it's such a small organization in a small office. So
Yeah.
waiting I'm waiting for
Oh,
my new baby.
oh. So why the violin? How did you get into the violin?
Oh, well, when I was about 7 at school, we all learnt the recorder. Oh, yes, we did.
Of course.
Um, somewhere along the line, somebody realised I was quite good at reading music and I could play. And I used to play recorder all the time. I play this all the time, given the chance. It's itching. I'll put it down a minute, then I'll be all right. But somebody at some point put a violin in my hands, and I had lessons at school, can you believe, with the headmaster, who was quite a taskmaster, and we were all scared of him. But he did a good job, and by the time this is junior school, by the time I left junior school, I was more than competent to kind of go and carry on. Whereas a lot of kids now, they get to the end of year 6 and there's not a teacher in secondary school, or there's not an opportunity to play. It was a bit different when I was at school. So I'm very much a product of the of state schools. A lot of people say, "Oh, you play the violin. You've got to talk posh." And yes, and a lot of people do, but I am not like that at all. I've come out of the state school system. I've worked hard. My parents never had any money, but I was always grateful when they could get me into things where I could kind of, really do well and practice work, and so I've come through that way. Very much
Wow.
lucky, really lucky.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit more about weddings. Do you do the ceremony music? Do you ever get asked to do drinks receptions? What kind of situations do you play in?
Yeah, there are 3 parts of the wedding that I tend to do.
Okay.
I do quite a lot of ceremonies. Sometimes I just do the ceremony. It just depends what somebody wants, but I tend to do the ceremonies. Sometimes the ceremony and the drinks reception. Sometimes the ceremony, the drinks reception, and during the wedding breakfast, and any sort of
Okay.
combination of those. I mean, I can go on beyond that. I can fit in almost any time. It just depends what the bride wants, and what the flavour of it is. But I mean, most brides anyway tend to book a band in the evening for
Yeah.
dancing. Um, it's in terms of the work I do, it's pretty hard work, especially sort of on your own. But even in a string quartet, it would be quite hard work. So to kind of I don't know, to do a whole day might be a bit much.
Yes,
But
of course.
actually, I tend to kind of do bits and pieces. It can take all day, it doesn't matter. But, that's what I tend to do. So I tend to do various packages depending on sort of what somebody wants, really. And I work with the bride, well, with the couple, really, but it tends to be the bride, who decides what sort of music she wants. I play all sorts of things. Obviously, I do a lot of classical, but I do an awful lot of sort of rock, modern, sort of up to date stuff, Latin, tango, folk music. I've got quite a large library, like 700 plus pieces, and I can play just acoustic, where I move around, or I can play with a backing track.
Okay.
Um, Sometimes the backing track's quite nice because often a backing track just piano. It just depends what's available. But sometimes it's just piano backing track, and sometimes I've got an orchestral backing track, and that really feels like there's a big orchestra behind me. It's great.
Yeah. And can brides make requests,
Yeah.
or is it you can only play what you know?
No, 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 no. Oh gosh, 700 pieces of music. I think mostly I've probably got something for everybody. But
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely do requests. And well, I work with the bride because it's important what you're going to walk into and what you're going
Yeah.
to walk out of, and what you'd like to hear in between times.
Yeah.
In terms of the pace of the music, and just also the sort of styles and the favourite songs, and it can be a mixture of all sorts. In fact, more often than not, I might have something like the canon that we're going to hear today. I might have something like that to be played when somebody walks in. And sometimes they have it on the way out as well. And in between times, I might have something like, I don't know, Sweet Caroline or something like that, just to kind of lighten the things. It just depends who's in the room, what they'd like to hear.
Yeah.
And some brides really come in knowing exactly what they want, and other brides they ring me up and they'll say, "Oh God, oh, I don't know." So, and if what I tend to do, there are lots and lots of sites out there that can Google that will give you lots of ideas of things that you could, walk into, walk out of, have at various times.
Yeah.
So I tend to point them in that direction, but also give them a few hints of what I've just lately, but you know, every wedding is different and every wedding is unique. And
Yeah,
why are you going to copy somebody else? So if I say, well, last week I played this, and this, why are you going to have that? You want your
yeah,
own thing. So
exactly. Yeah,
all sorts of things. And yes, if I haven't got what you want in my 700 plus pieces of music, I can usually track it down. I can't always, depending on how recent it is, I can't always get a backing with it. But
okay.
I compensate. You know, it doesn't seem to it doesn't make a lot of difference really. So you just
Yeah,
compensate with other notes in there. So that's quite easy, really.
yeah. Well, shall we have a little watch of the video so everyone can hear you playing, which is fabulous, and then we'll come back and just have another little chat if that's okay.
Great.
Fabulous. Oh, that was amazing, Debbie.
Thank you. I was just actually going to say, I tend not to play that one in its entirety because I think I'd probably walk about half a mile down to the aisle to get all of it in at very slow pace. So what I tend to do is the beginning bit, or somebody we just sort of pick a section out of it is
Yeah.
quite enough, just in case you were wondering.
No, but it's such a lovely piece of music. It is just so lovely, isn't it?
Oh, it's a gorgeous piece of music, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Written especially for weddings. No, it wasn't really.
So, in terms of weddings that you've done, is there anything that really stands out to you as maybe something that you didn't ever imagine that you'd be asked to play, or it was just a memorable performance for you?
Well, every wedding's special, and every wedding there's something that happens that's really special, and sometimes something that happens that's really funny. The kids are fantastic. That's brilliant. Um, in terms of, if I look back over what I've done and to pick out some one or two that have kind of been really special, it's ones that you kind of remember out of the others, and one of them here's a name drop time. Um, I had a phone call out of the blue. This is a few years ago now, from somebody who wanted to book me to play at a wedding with my keyboard player, and we had to go to Tain in Oxfordshire, which is an absolutely gorgeous place. But we got terribly stuck on the M40 on the way down in traffic jams, as is quite usual, really. But anyway, we got there. When we got there, the place was absolutely gorgeous. It was a hotel, and it was absolutely gorgeous. And they took us into where they wanted us to play, and we were up in a gallery. We had no idea whose wedding it was, and it turned out that it was the Harley Street doctor's daughter getting married.
Wow.
It was a really lovely thing because you played and it echoed round, and we played there and people wandered in and out with drinks, and it was lovely. But the claim to fame is that a few years later, I happened to be doing some other work in Oxford, totally not music at all, and I was working with a young person who lived in. I said to him, "Is that gorgeous hotel still there?" And he said, "What hotel?" And I said, "Well, it was this fantastic hotel, and there was an archway, and there was this, that, and the other." "Oh, the Beachy House." And it was actually bought by, which one was it, Morris? It was, oh gosh. Um, I think,
Barry?
I
Robin?
think, yeah, I think it was Robbins. Yeah, I think it was Robbins. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And
God,
unfortunately,
amazing.
sadly, no longer with us. But
Yeah.
there you go. Played in his house. He wasn't there, but I played in his house.
Yeah. That is a claim to fame, that is.
But that's just one of lots and lots and lots. And I've done small weddings. I've done tiny weddings, which
Yeah.
might be happening this year a bit later on, depending on how things go. And I've done enormous weddings, and I am. Because I'm quite mobile, so I have if I use background music, I have a Bose speaker which runs on batteries, so I can be put wherever. I don't need to have an
Oh,
electric source, which is helpful on the pat testing as well because I don't need that either.
yeah.
But I can wander around. I can be put wherever, but I can also go in the corner. And the other thing is that the solo violin has like a volume limit. It's not it's very unobtrusive. So
Yeah.
if somebody's phone goes off, they're not going to have to run outside the room to get a good conversation if they need to. Heaven forbid
Yeah.
in the ceremony. But you know what I mean. It's not drowning out any conversations or anything like that. But similarly, if it's a large room, then quite often I use the hotel's PA system. But if I need to, I've got my own.
Yeah.
So it's all flexible and all workable, and all very much what the bride and groom want,
Yeah.
and the ambience, and it makes it really memorable for the
Yeah.
guests that are there as well.
Oh, lovely. So if we could just finish off with, do you have a piece of advice that you would give to couples getting married to do with music? What would your one piece of advice be?
I would say have a bit of an idea what sort of music you want. Everybody's going to say the same. Book early. No, we do get booked up.
Yeah.
Fact of life. But I do know other musicians, so if I couldn't make a date, I could usually suggest somebody who's is equally good. Obviously, not better. Equally. um, but I'd also say don't panic about it because all the musicians, the singers, the bands, we all know our jobs, and we can all come with a package of suggestions, send you lists of suggestions of things that you might like, and but also have a bit of a think about within your room where exactly do you want them to stand for the best, to get the best from them.
Yeah.
And talk. We love to talk weddings. Pick up the phone. It's you don't. I'm not going to sell you anything. Pick up the phone and have a chat because I'm happy to give some advice as well, even if you don't book me for it. I've done
Yeah.
lots of them, so give us a ring.
Oh, that's amazing, Debbie. And so, following on from that, how can people get in touch with you? What social media have you got?
Well, I'm on Facebook, Debbie Lynne Music.
Okay.
I have a web page, debbielinmusic.co.uk or
Yeah.
.com, will take you to the same place. I'm on LinkedIn as well, but probably not so many people here on LinkedIn, but I don't know. You don't know, do you? And I'm just starting up on Instagram, but Facebook's the main thing. And some of the online wedding fairs on Facebook, you'll find me at as
Okay.
well, because I'm being asked to do some of those as well.
Oh, lovely. Well, thank you so much, Debbie. It's been wonderful to talk to you, and it was lovely listening to you playing the violin. So thank you so much.
Thanks,
And
Charlotte. Thank you.
no, it's fine. And as Debbie said, please don't hesitate to contact her. Thank you, Debbie.
Pleasure. Happy wedding planning.
So that was Debbie, everyone, and I'm sure you will all agree how fabulous she was. Very, very versatile, over 700 pieces of music that she can play for you. So if that kind of sound and vibe is what you are going for, then don't hesitate to contact her. She is a fountain of all knowledge, so I'm sure she would love to speak to you. So that's the end of the Lunchtime Fest. Later on this evening, we've got Lizzie Rushby joining us, and she will be singing live. So hopefully I will see you all then. Have a lovely afternoon.